My name is Luis Rosado, a.k.a. Blue Boy. That's what I'm really known for, my nickname.
Blue Boy was born in 1965 in New York.
I was born and raised in Lower East Side. I was born at Bellevue Hospital.
He was raised in a Puerto Rican household.
My mom, she was the glue that kept everybody together. My papa was a gangster. He did time in the feds and he did time in the state.
He grew up on the Lower East Side, where both his mother and father sold drugs.
She was hustling with my pops. It was in that street life. My mom was trying to do the best she can at that time, at that era, you know. She was a general, man. She was like a strong lady, a stand-up person. She did a little bit one time, too. She understood my situation a lot more than a lot of other people would.
During the 1970s and 80s, Alphabet City on the Lower East Side was known for the illegal drug trade and high levels of violent crime.
I was like a drug market back then. I see it was full-fledged on the drug scene. They had the heroin thing going on back then. You had so many crews back then, like you had CBS, you had Hitman Squad, you had Allen Boys, you had so many different cliques.
From a young age, Blue Boy was frequently getting into trouble.
I started going to shoot around when I was 9. What happened when I pushed my teacher downstairs? That was the first time I went to Sparfit.
He got the nickname Blue Boy at the age of 12.
He got an old timer named Blue that I looked up to, which I got the name from. And he was down with a motorcycle gang called the Newcomers. They used to be on 7th Street and Avenue B. So I used to be around them a lot. People used to start calling me Little Blue.
Blue Boy would later join a gang himself.
I was down with the Wild Boys back then when I was younger. It was a street gang, you know what I'm saying? But it was like we were all involved into stick up, selling drugs, wilding out.
He spent his early years moving in and out of juvenile detention up to the age of 15.
I was at Sparfit, I was at Brookwood, and the DFY, what they called the Division for Youth. I did time in those spots. After that I came home, and I went back a couple times, okay?
At 16, an incident would occur that would forever change Blue Boy's life.
I had a beef with some dudes back in the day, and what happened was, his mom sent him to the Navy. But I didn't know that. I went away for a little while. And then when I came back, his little brother decided to take up that beef. He seen me one day at a party in the schoolyard jam where they were playing music. They had DJs on one side, DJ on the other side. So he stepped on my sneakers on purpose. The first time he did it, he said, my man, you don't see what you're doing. Then the second time he did it, I pushed him. We started arguing. Next thing I know, I was looking at the barrel of the gun. And he told me to leave the jam. So I ended up leaving and shit. But as we walking out, he slapped and kicked me in my butt. Anyway, I came back and I ended up shooting him with a shotgun, 16 gauge shotgun. And my co-defendant shot his man. And I ended up getting a time for that. But I was already a suspect in 2 other murders in my neighborhood.
In 1982, Blue Boy was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison.
Back then, in 1982, T-74 was adolescent. You ever heard of a song? I don't know if you're familiar with this song. It's called You Won't Be Smiling and Rikers Island. That song right there breaks down the reality of Rikers Island back then.
Blue Boy quickly developed a reputation on Rikers Island.
I first came to Rikers Island. I was trying not to get caught up in a lot of stuff, but dude named G, old timer named G, and this other dude tried to take my sneakers. And that created a whole, I have to get on some other stuff. That was the beginning of my reputation on Rikers Island.
While incarcerated, Blue Boy crossed paths with some of Brooklyn's most notorious figures.
I ran with a lot of dudes from Brooklyn, like my man Bogart, Homo, rest in peace. That was my band. We did time in Sparfit, we did time in Goshen together, and we did time in Rikers Island. There's a lot of dudes that became somebody in that drug world since I've been in prison. Some became somebody in the rap world, and some became professional stick-up guys, like Tuck, King Tuck. That was my boy. We ran with each other on the island. The dude that now became a rap, Jimmy Henson. We got into a big thing because somebody was trying to take his jewelry. There's so many dudes that I can name that I know from back then I've been in a situation with. This is where a lot of dudes got this shit confused. Because a lot of dudes think I was Latin King. I was never Latin King.
While in prison, Blue Boy did whatever was necessary to survive.
I never wanted nobody to glorify what I have done. I cut people, I stabbed people, I threw hot oil on dudes, I hit dudes with lock in a sock. I did it all, you know. I've been stabbed 3 times. I've been cut twice, but none in my face. I got jumped a couple times. One time in Auburn, 1986, dudes jumped me. There was 3 of them. They had knives. I ain't had no knife. I had some bullshit bubble razors. They had me in the corners. Like in the corner, I couldn't get out. Only way I had to get out is if I caught towards them. I had to force myself to make it believe that I had a knife on me. So I was deep in my pocket like I was about to pull out a knife. And they backed up, saying, oh, she got a knife, back up, back up. But they already had stabbed me twice. So when they backed up, they gave me the lane, I was out of there. You know, you can't win every battle. Tyson doesn't win every fight. When you lose, you got to have the same attitude when you win.
During his time in prison, Blue Boy made the decision to become a Crip.
I always been against the odds. That's why I became Crip. I think this one day I just got up and said, yo, listen, I don't like what's going on, and this is what I want to do. And I told a couple people I was going to do that. They said, yo, bro, you can't do that. I said, who could tell me I can't do that? So I picked up that thing right there, you know. I'm going to really take this oath, and that's what happened.
Blue Boy's prison sentence was extended on 3 separate occasions.
The first time was for a weapon, and the second time was for a murder that happened right here in Elmira back in the days that I was involved with.
In 2008, Blue Boy was involved in a deadly confrontation with the notorious Larry Davis.
And then the third time was extended for the murder with Larry Davis, which everybody know about, main story everybody speaks about, because he was notorious. What he did, his crime was a big thing.
Blue Boy received an additional 10-year sentence for the murder of Larry Davis.
I didn't go with the intention to do nothing to nobody. And it just went haywire. It went the other way. I can't complain about none of that now. The reality is that if they would have tied his leg in time, he might have lived. He bled out. As sad as it is, that's what happened. Prison, it takes a long time to take him to the hospital.
While Blue Boy was in prison, his mother passed away, and he was not allowed to attend her funeral.
She passed away January 11, 2011, when I was in Southport. They let me go to the funeral. At that time, when my mom passed away, I had just got caught with a ceramic knife, a half a hacksaw blade. This all happened in the box. Then I got the assault, because they rushed my cell. So they found me with all the type of weapons. So they sent me to Southport, they had me on full restraint, and they didn't want to let me go to the funeral because they already had the assault on staff, and I got caught with all the weapons.
After spending 39 years behind bars, Blue Boy was finally released from prison.
When I got out there, it was a whole different world to me. Places that I used to hang out at when I was a kid, they were no longer there. Places that I used to shop and buy sneakers and clothes, they're no longer there. I was so amazed about so many things. When I went home, it was crazy. I stood in front of this building I used to buy my sneakers from and clothes. Now it's a big glass building. It's like a museum. I was standing there at 2 o'clock in the morning just looking at the building because I was amazed at how they put this glass building right there. And then police car pulled up behind me and they said, yo, you ain't thinking about robbing this place, right? And I explained to them that this building right here was different. This building wasn't even here when I went to prison. And they were, what? You was in prison? I said, yeah, I did finished doing 40 years. And they were shocked. They were like, 40 years? Oh my God. But stay out. Don't get in trouble, man. Stay home. And they peeled off. At nighttime, I used to always feel like I was still in the yard. I used to watch people in their hands in their pocket. If I see too many people walking together, I used to always be scheming, you know what I'm saying? This is what I lived in here for 40 years. You got to be on guard here. That's why I don't got no cuts on my face. That's why I don't have none of that, because I was always on guard in here. I did 30 years in the box almost. In and out of boxes. I did 10 years one time, 7.5 years another time. I've been in and out of boxes since I came to jail.
To make ends meet, Blue Boy took a job as a security guard at a Manhattan dispensary.
I'm not going to mention the person's name they hired me. They asked me if I needed a job because when I first went home, I didn't have an ID. I had a prison ID because I had two different names. I had the original name that I'm in jail for right now, the same name that I got now. And I had on my birth certificate was a different name. So they was giving me mad problems, giving me an ID. So this brother came to me and said, yo, this is Joe, I want to talk to you about working. If you don't got no job, he wants to help you out. Like in the summertime, I started working there. I was working there as security, and I was working there for like 7 months.
An incident at his place of work would jeopardize Blue Boy's freedom.
That person came looking for problems. It wasn't like I was looking for him. He came to the spot looking for that problem. And in the course of all that, he ended up getting shot.
After the incident, Blue Boy turned himself in.
I was charged with attempted murder, assault in the first degree, and possession of a firearm as a felon. I had to end up copping out for 12 years. If I didn't take the 12 years, I would have had to go to trial. And if I would have went to trial, they could have gave me natural life because I was already a violent felon. So I had to take the 12.
Blue Boy is currently serving a 12-year sentence at Elmira Prison.
So I still kick myself in the ass for coming back to this. But I can never be a phony. I'm me. People talk about me wearing a blue bandana. That's not what brought me back to prison. Brought me back to prison was a dude going out of his way to do something we shouldn't be doing. Trying to do something to me first. Wasn't like I was looking for that problem. You know what I'm in prison for? I'm not in prison for attempted murder. I'm not in prison for assault. I'm in prison for attempted possession of a firearm. How you attempt to possess a firearm? That's what they gave me. They gave me 12 years for that. And it's crazy.
After more than 4 decades in prison, Blue Boy has seen many changes behind bars.
They smoking that goddamn deuce. That's just messing people up in here. There's no more loyalty, no more honor, and no more respect. Dudes will sell your soul over here for that. There have been like 4 people died in this chair alone from smoking that shit. It's terrible. There's very few people in here that keep it solid.
Prison has taken more from Blue Boy than just time.
I got married on Rikers Island. I was hoping that me and my wife could stick together and everything. But even her, she was like stressed out about me getting 12 years. She wasn't ready for this. And she wasn't, prepared for this. I had to let her go. I told her, I said, go ahead, go live your life. I don't want you to feel that I'm holding you from achieving your goal. I had a dog, King Corso, named Egypt. I love my dog. I had her when she was small. I miss her every day. I miss playing ball and all that. That was another thing too. We live with the mistakes we do. We make choices, and you have to live with them.
It was in prison that Blue Boy learned to read and write. He now keeps himself busy with reading.
I did a lot of reading. I got mad books. I did a lot of reading. I had like 180 books in my cell. Right now, I got like 50 books in my cell right now. And I read so many books. I read about Taste of Power by Elaine Brown. I read about Mad Revolution of Sodom Shakur, Rest in Peace. Because I like to read. When I read a cowboy book, I'm in Montana on my horse. When I read about George Jackson, I'm in San Quentin on the movement. I read so many books.
Blue Boy remains hopeful for an early release.
I'll be 70 years old when I get out. I got to go to the board because I got a life sentence on the back of my tongue. And being that I got a life sentence, I have to reappear to the board. There's a lot of laws coming out right now that's helping prisoners. They got a 55 law. If you over 55, they're trying to get you to the board as soon as possible. If you got half of your time in, hopefully that law come into effect and I can get out sooner. Hopefully, I'm just hoping that I can get back out there before I be 70 years old.
Blue Boy now reflects on his current situation.
I let a lot of people down. because a lot of people had a lot of hope that I was going to stay out there. Not only people in the street, but people in prison, because I got a bad history in prison. of violent history since I've been in prison. To see me go home was like giving them hope that they can get out too, because they got bad history. That was the thing that hurt me the most. I'm 60 years old, and I'm still who I am. I still feel like I'm back in 1982. That's when I came to jail, 1982. I'm still in that era. Evelyn Champagne, they make my love come down.
Reflecting on his past, Blue Boy warns others not to follow in his footsteps.
One thing they can learn, not to follow my footsteps. Get your education while you're here, learn what you can learn, and go out there with the best intention of staying out there. That's the key. Not this. This don't count for nothing. We just walking dead bodies. People die every day here. And for the kids out there in the street, homie, don't come into this. This is disgusting. This jail thing is no good. I don't know why people glorify prison. This is not a place that you want to glorify. I don't glorify none of this. I don't even glorify my history. That's disgusting. All that shit I've been through in my life don't count for nothing because I'm still here. I came back to this, and I might end up dying here. Hopefully not. But the reality is reality. Anything can happen tomorrow. I can only give it to you the way I know it, keeping it real.
The website, blueboychronicles.com. And the social media is all Blue Boy Chronicles.
Like they would say, rolling! And that's to my people, you know? Take care of yourself, man. Be safe.